Sometimes, the most powerful stories don't announce themselves loudly. They arrive quietly, through timing, through presence, through two people whose names alone already carry weight. When reports began circulating that Hye Kyo and Gong had officially wrapped up filming for their new drama, slowly, intensely, the reaction wasn't explosive in the usual way. There were no dramatic countdowns. No over-the-top celebrations. Instead, there was something far more telling. Silence. Then excitement. Then reflection. Because this wasn't just another drama finishing production. For many fans and industry observers, this moment felt like the closing of a carefully protected chapter, one that had been unfolding away from noise, hype, and unnecessary spectacle. From the very beginning, slowly, intensely carried a different kind of energy. The announcement alone felt intentional. Hye Kyo and Gong, two actors whose careers have evolved beyond trends, choosing a project together immediately signaled restraint, maturity, and purpose. Not a flashy pairing meant to dominate headlines, but a thoughtful collaboration that suggested depth. And now, as filming officially comes to an end, fans are beginning to process what this project represents, not just as a drama, but as a moment in time for two actors who have each traveled long, complex journeys through fame. According to production insiders, filming concluded quietly, without the usual fanfare that often accompanies major projects. There were no viral rap party clips. No flashy behind-the-scenes leaks. Just a small, closed gathering among cast and crew, a choice that aligns perfectly with the tone of the drama itself. Those familiar with the production say the atmosphere on set was calm, focused, and deeply respectful. Not rushed. Not chaotic. A working environment built on trust, something that becomes increasingly rare in an industry driven by speed. And perhaps that's why slowly, intensely feels like more than a title. It feels like a philosophy. From early descriptions, the drama is said to explore themes of emotional restraint, internal conflict, and relationships that don't announce themselves loudly but leave lasting impressions. It's not a story built on dramatic twists or explosive confrontations, but one that unfolds deliberately, scene by scene, glance by glance, silence by silence. For fans of Hye Kyo, this project marks another step in her continued evolution. Over the years, she has carefully reshaped her public and professional identity. Gone are the days when she was defined solely by romantic archetypes or surface-level elegance. Her recent choices have leaned into complexity, women shaped by loss, resilience, and emotional maturity. Those close to the production say her performance in Slowly, Intensely reflects this shift. Not dramatic in the conventional sense, but emotionally precise. Every movement intentional. Every line measured. One crew member reportedly described her approach as controlled, but deeply emotional, noting that she often conveyed more through silence than dialogue. For longtime fans, this comes as no surprise. Hye Kyo has always been an actress who understands restraint. She doesn't chase scenes. She lets scenes come to her. And then there's Gong, an actor whose presence alone often sets the emotional temperature of a project. Known for choosing roles that challenge convention, Gong has long been selective about his work. He doesn't appear often, but when he does, it's usually because something about the story demands patience and depth. According to reports, Gong approached Slowly, Intensely with the same quiet intensity that has defined his most memorable performances. Not loud. Not theatrical. But grounded. Industry insiders say the dynamic between Hye Kyo and Gong on set was marked by mutual respect rather than performance-driven chemistry. No exaggerated interactions. No forced intimacy. Just two experienced actors meeting at the same emotional frequency. Fans often talk about chemistry as something visible, immediate, almost explosive. But those familiar with this production describe something different. They describe comfort. A sense that both actors trusted the material, and each other, enough not to overplay moments. That trust allowed scenes to breathe. It allowed silence to matter. And that's where the title slowly, intensely begins to make sense. The intensity isn't in what's said, it's in what's held back. As filming wrapped, reports suggest that the final days on set were particularly emotional. Not because of dramatic farewells, but because of what the project demanded from everyone involved. Long hours. Emotionally heavy scenes. A sustained level of focus that doesn't allow shortcuts. Crew members have hinted that the final shoot carried a reflective tone, as if everyone understood that this wasn't just the end of production, but the completion of something carefully built. Fans noticed that shortly after filming concluded, both Hye Kyo and Gong shared subtle, understated posts. No elaborate captions. No direct references. Just quiet acknowledgements. To fans, that restraint spoke volumes. Because when artists say less, it usually means the work itself says enough. As discussions around the wrap-up continue, fans have begun speculating about what slowly, intensely might represent for the broader landscape of Korean dramas. In recent years, there has been a noticeable shift. Audiences are gravitating towards stories that reflect emotional realism, relationships shaped by time, not fantasy. Characters who carry history, not just hope. This drama appears to sit firmly in that space. Not a story about first love, but about connection formed after experience. Not about passion that burns fast, but emotion that lingers. For Hye Kyo, this aligns seamlessly with her current trajectory. She has increasingly chosen projects that allow her to explore interiority, the quiet transformations that happen beneath the surface. For Gong, it continues a pattern of work that prioritizes meaning over visibility. Together, their collaboration feels less like a spectacle and more like a conversation, one that unfolds slowly, but leaves an intense aftertaste. Industry watchers are already predicting that slowly, intensely may become one of those dramas that isn't defined by ratings alone, but by longevity. The kind of series people revisit years later, not for excitement, but for feeling. Of course, with filming now complete, attention will soon turn to post-production and release schedules. But fans aren't rushing ahead. They are lingering in this moment. Because something about the way this project has been handled, from casting to production to wrap-up, suggests intention over urgency. And that's rare. As more behind-the-scenes details emerge, one thing becomes clear: slowly, intensely was never meant to shout. It was meant to resonate. Fans have also noted how this project seems to reflect where both actors are in their lives right now, seasoned, reflective, and uninterested in proving anything. They've already proven enough. This drama doesn't feel like a comeback. It feels like a statement. A statement that says storytelling doesn't have to rush. That emotional depth doesn't require spectacle. That sometimes, the most powerful connections are built quietly. As anticipation builds for the drama's release, fans continue to express a shared sentiment: trust. Trust in Hye Kyo's emotional precision. Trust in Gong's instinct for meaningful work. Trust in a story that promises to unfold without forcing itself. And perhaps that's why the wrap-up of filming feels so significant. Because it marks the completion of something rare, a project driven not by trends, but by intention. Now, all that remains is waiting. Waiting for the story to meet its audience. Waiting to see how silence, restraint, and intensity translate on screen. Waiting for a drama that doesn't demand attention, but earns it. And when slowly, intensely finally arrives, fans won't be watching just to be entertained. They'll be watching to feel. Because sometimes, the stories that stay with us the longest are the ones that take their time. Slowly. Intensely. And as the reality of the wrap-up settled in, another layer of conversation began to emerge, not just about the drama itself, but about what this collaboration means in a broader sense. Because slowly, intensely doesn't exist in isolation. It arrives at a time when audiences are quietly craving something different. Less spectacle. Less noise. More honesty. Industry analysts have noted that recent years have marked a turning point for long-form storytelling in Korean dramas. Viewers are no longer satisfied with formula alone. They want stories that reflect lived experience, relationships shaped by time, regret, healing, and emotional maturity. In that context, the pairing of Hye Kyo and Gong feels almost symbolic. Both actors represent a generation that has grown up alongside their audience. Their faces are familiar, but their energy has evolved. They no longer portray characters chasing love blindly or fighting the world with youthful certainty. Instead, they embody people who have lived, lost, learned, and continued. And that lived-in quality is exactly what fans believe slowly, intensely is built on. Those who have followed production updates closely say the script demanded patience from its cast. Scenes were not rushed. Emotional beats were often internal rather than external. There were moments where silence carried more weight than dialogue, moments where nothing happened, yet everything changed. For actors like Hye Kyo and Gong, this kind of storytelling requires trust. Trust in the director. Trust in the writing. Trust that the audience will stay. And perhaps most importantly, trust in each other. Several industry observers have commented that this project doesn't feel like two stars sharing a screen for the sake of pairing. It feels like two artists meeting at the same point in their journey. Neither trying to outshine the other. Neither performing for attention. Both serving the story. That balance is rare and difficult. It's also something that reportedly defined their on-set relationship. Not friendship in the conventional sense, but professional understanding. An unspoken agreement that the work came first, and ego had no place. Crew members have hinted that rehearsals were minimal, not because of lack of preparation, but because both actors arrived fully formed. They knew their characters. They understood the emotional temperature of each scene. Adjustments were subtle, collaborative, and purposeful. One insider described it as two people listening more than speaking. And that approach extended beyond performance. From what has been shared, the atmosphere on set was unusually quiet. Phones were discouraged. Distractions minimized. Scenes were often shot in longer takes to preserve emotional continuity. This wasn't a production chasing virality. It was a production chasing truth. As post-production begins, editors and sound designers now carry the responsibility of preserving that restraint. This kind of drama lives or dies in the details, the pause before a line, the breath between words, the music that knows when to step back. And fans are acutely aware of that. Online discussions have shifted from speculation to anticipation. People aren't asking what happens in the plot. They are asking how it will feel. Will it linger? Will it hurt quietly? Will it reflect something they recognize in themselves? That kind of anticipation isn't loud, but it's deep. Hye Kyo's recent career choices have prepared audiences for this moment. Over time, she has moved away from roles that rely on charm alone, embracing characters shaped by emotional consequence. Women who carry history in their eyes. Women who don't explain themselves fully. Fans believe her role in Slowly, Intensely continues that trajectory. Not as a reinvention, but as refinement. Similarly, Gong's presence signals intention. He has long resisted overexposure, choosing projects that align with his values rather than trends. His involvement alone suggests that the story offered something worth waiting for. And waiting has become a recurring theme. The drama itself reportedly unfolds over time, not days, but years. Relationships are shaped by mischances, delayed understanding, and moments that arrive too late, or just in time. It's the kind of narrative that mirrors adult life, where answers aren't immediate, and closure is often incomplete. That realism is precisely what fans say they are ready for. Not escapism. Recognition. As the wrap-up news spread internationally, global audiences also weighed in. Many expressed excitement not just because of the cast, but because Korean dramas have increasingly become spaces for nuanced, emotionally intelligent storytelling. Slowly, Intensely appears poised to contribute to that evolution. And yet, despite the growing interest, there's still very little concrete information being released. No extended teasers. No detailed synopses. No character breakdowns. That silence feels intentional. It suggests confidence. Confidence that the work doesn't need to be explained before it's seen. Confidence that when the time comes, the story will speak for itself. Fans have noted that both Song Hye Kyo and Gong have avoided traditional promotional build-up so far. Their post-rap acknowledgements were brief, understated, and focused on gratitude rather than achievement. No celebration. No victory laps. Just appreciation. That restraint has only deepened curiosity. Because when artists don't sell their work aggressively, it often means they believe in its quiet power. As anticipation builds, many fans are already predicting that Slowly, Intensely will spark a different kind of conversation once it airs. Less about favorite scenes, more about moments that felt uncomfortably familiar. Lines that linger. Silences that echo. The kind of drama people don't binge quickly, but absorb slowly. And perhaps that's the ultimate alignment between title and execution. This is not a story meant to be consumed at high speed. It's meant to unfold. As we wait for release details, one thing remains clear: the completion of filming isn't the end of this journey. It's simply the point where the story moves from creation to connection. From the quiet of the set to the quiet of living rooms, late-night watches, and reflective pauses. For Song Hye Kyo and Gong, Slowly, Intensely may come to represent more than just another credit. It may stand as a marker of where they are now, and what kind of stories they choose to tell moving forward. Stories that don't rush. Stories that trust silence. Stories that understand that intensity doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes, it arrives slowly. And stays.